Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. It's you must go and I must die.
This is for Nuala Mycushla from the Irish Broadcasting Company and Brewery. We cross now to roving reporter Marcus O'Sastamoynen, who is with Chris in his studio, situated on the first floor of Point Cooked Post Office, which has more stamps than an Irish dance hall. We cross now to Marcus asking Chris about his upcoming production, Drumlords of the River Dance.
It kind of reminds you of that movie, The Leprechaun. You remember with that little guy
yeah.
who goes, I'm the leprechaun. I'm the leprechaun.
Cool it, okay?
I'm the leprechaun.
Stop it, all right?
Don't try and steal me, pot of gold. Chill.
They're the common people.
We'll
Have
go
a
upstairs
look,
to you, sweetie.
I'm not.
Sweetie.
Stop it.
Sweet. Pixie dust. Sweetie, it's me. It's me. The leprechaun.
Wanna leave, but can't. Want to move.
Where are you gonna move?
Get away, leprechaun.
Are you gonna move to
man.
Ireland? Because I'm the leprechaun.
Got to wanna leave, but can't. Want to move. Get away,
Are you gonna
leprechaun.
move to Ireland?
How's everybody going? I hope you've got your green prepared. Let's have a bit of fun in this kind of week. What a week. Hey, to be sure. So I'm just going to go over to Shirley here. Hey! Hey! Oh, so what I'm going to do tonight is talk about, again, some wonderful Irish things. I always do it every year. It's tattooed on the back of my neck. Okay. Dear old Dad's pub, the Dan O'Connell Hotel. Starting all things Irish in that wonderful pub. When I was just a whippersnapper. Started in 1969. Dad took it over from the Prince of Wales Hotel in St Kilda. The folks came over from South Australia to run the Prince of Wales Hotel, the Prince in St Kilda, and then in 63 took on the Dan O'Connell Hotel in Canning Street, Carlton, and then in 69, dear Jamie Johnson and David Brannigan and the whole crew started up in the Prickly Bush Folk Club, or if you like, the Prickly Bush Folk Club, and then bang, tattooed on the back of my neck, I tell you. All that music, wonderful music. Last year I was talking about jigs, 6/8. And reels. And you've got the slip jig. Okay, so you go bum. And that is in 9/8 time. I've talked about that in the past and I'm going to talk about it again. But what I'm going to talk about tonight is some of the culture, the sounds. What am I doing at the moment? Hang on, what have I got here, Chris? I have the Celtic Hammett Dulcimer, is what that is. I'll put it up there, and it's a... There it is there, you see, on my triggers, you see, and that's what goes on there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change it to the Celtic Harp. And I have one in my front room there for a while there, on just minding it for a friend. sound, you see. There you have it. Oh. That's what goes on. Hey, there you are. So what goes on now is I'm going to talk a little bit about Irish dancing. And no, Kath and Kim horizontal Irish dancing for you at dear old Molly Bloom's back in the day. Who remembers Molly Bloom's down in Port Melbourne? That's where they filmed it. What have I got here? Irish dance refers to a group of traditional dance forms originating from Ireland, encompassing dancing both solo and in groups, and dancing for social, competitive and performance purposes. Irish dance in its current form developed from various influences such as earlier native Irish dance, English country dancing, and later possibly French quadrilles. As it became popular in Britain and Ireland during the 19th century, dance was taught by travelling dance masters across Ireland in the 17th and 18th century, and separate dance forms developed according to regional practice and differing purposes. Irish dance became a significant part of Irish culture, particularly for Irish nationalist movements. From the early 20th century, a number of organisations promoted and codified the various forms of dance, creating competitive structures and standardised styles. Irish dancers who compete for competitive reasons dance in a style that's more modern than traditional Irish dance, like me with the drums, who can dance to this. Hey, Irish dancers who, I've sung that one. I've sung that one. Danny boy, the pipes. There's a bit of Spike Milligan in that. It is mainly done solo, but there is some team dancing in groups of 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, 16, and even numbers on board. Anyway, there you have it. I'll get back to that a little bit. Now, what goes on is one of the most famous things is, of course, Lord of the River Dance with Michael Flatley, who made it a bit of a sensation in the 90s. And I'll take you through it. I'm going to turn my triggers off for a little bit there, just so I can take you through it. And first I'll start with the rhythm. Pardon me if I'm repeating myself if you watched last year's show, but what I'm going to do is go into a few different things. I'm talking about dance tonight, so that is a first. So you go. Now what goes on is the first thing you have is a jig, which is usually, what do you mean usually, it's almost always in 6/8, which is compound duple time. Duple meaning 2 feet. And there you go. And it's usually got that kind of rollicking. There it is, seeing it is a kind of a drum show, I suppose, seeing I'm behind Doris here, Doris O'Malley. And what we've got is a 6/8 figure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not a shuffle in 4/4. If it was, it'd be 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. But that's not how it's done in dear old Ireland. And the 7 Celtic nations, by the way. What it is you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Get it? Got it? Good. Okay, so you get that kind of. Back on with the triggers, Mike. And what you've got is. There it is there. Now, when you're dealing with 6/8, what happens is you can have the hemiola from Espanola. And what happens is, because I'm doing in 6/8, I could do a cross rhythm by playing in 3/4, because 3/4 has 6 quavers in it, just as 6/8 is 6 quavers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 8 notes, if you like. So if I'm going. from Española. It's from dear old Ireland. And there you go. So then you have a real. I just did the Irish chicken dance. But it's like. It's in 2/4. 1 iana, 2 iana, 1 iana, 2 iana. The reason it's in duple time is because you're dancing. You've got 2 feet. You see, that's what goes on. So it's very similar to marching in a lot of ways, because when you're dealing, say, it's got its roots there a little bit. So there you have that, you see. Now there's another one. We've got the, I'm doing this fairly quickly because I know I've done it before. I'm starting with it and I'm going to carry on with other things. What happens is that you've got your Irish jig in 6/8. I've just done the reel. It's more like a Scottish reel, the second Celtic nation. Do you know that there's 7 Celtic nations? Crickets. Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Cornwall, Isle of Man, Brittany in France, and the 7th is a place called Galicia, which is the in northwest Spain when the Celts came around and settled in the very, very much in the 9th, 10th centuries and things like that, even before that, before the Normans took over, and that high Norm. And you get a lot of things with that. Kind of a real. There it is, and oh, maybe I'll do this one. Ooh, there you go. And so you get that kind of. There you go. There it is. Now, what goes on with this? Now I'm going to go into a slightly different thing. I'll talk about the slip jig. What happens is you slip instead of 6/8, it's 9/8. It tends to feel like triplets in 3/4. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a. Jimi Hendrix's Manic Depression is a kind of a slip jig in the way that Mitch Mitchell drums it. You got that kind of. Like that, you see? Anyway, carrying right along. What goes on then is you've got that. Now, you can't get out of Irish dancing without mentioning a river dance. Michael Flatley, I'll put him up there and everywhere. And what happens is they had a wonderful slip jig that was in 9/8, but was subdivided in 5/4. So what you had is a 5. You can go hippopotamus, and then a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hippopotamus, 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 1, 2, 3, 4. Beautiful. And there you go. So it's a little bit of a breakdown. It's odd timing, the odd time. I have a bit of a funny thing about 9/8 being called an odd time. Just because 9 is an odd number doesn't necessarily mean it's odd. What happens is that it is essentially compound triple time. And neither is 3/4 an odd time that I've heard some people saying, are you kidding? Just because it's 3. Odd time to me is non-divisible numbers. So essentially when you have simple time divisible by 2, and compound time divisible by 3, okay, when you mix the 2 together, okay, like a 2 and a 3, you get 5. That is a true odd time because you have a simple and a compound combination, you see. As is 7, you see. And so it goes. So, yes, I'll give it to you, 9-4 or 9-8 or whatever. Yeah, okay, I'm just a bit tired of arguing about it, really. But really, it's just compound triple time. That's what it is. Moving right along. Don't want to get caught up in minutiae. Hello, minutiae, how are you today? Anyway, I'm going to talk about the tonalities now. And what happens is when you're dealing, I'll put them back on. What shall I go to? Shall I go to the Dulcimer, the Hammett Dulcimer? And what happens... what happens, a little trick of the trade, is that so much of Celtic music comes from the Mixolydian mode. Okay, now when you've got a major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But with Mixolydian, you, like Neil said, sharpen, flatten the seventh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7 octave. However, there's a little trick of the trade. Does everyone here know their cycle of fifths? Okay, I'll carry right along. Where's my crickets patch? Anyway, so what goes on is that if you've got your cycle of fifths, so you're going up C, G, D, A, E, and so on, B, F sharp, and so on. If you go the other way, it's C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, and there you go. But what happens is if you want a Mixolydian mode, you go one back, you see. So if you want a G Mixolydian mode, go back to the C major, okay, you see. Because what you're doing is by flattening the seventh, you're taking away the sharp of that key. Because what happens is that if you're going to play a G Mixolydian, and I've seen it so often again on YouTube, where this is the fingering pattern, it makes it feel like guitarists have to learn 45 different, fingering patterns. You don't. What it is it's just you're essentially taking away the sharp that you put on that scale. So when you're doing C major, it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. When you're doing G major, it's G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G octave. But take away that sharp and you're just essentially playing the C major scale from G to G. Make sure your G is the root note. So you get G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There you go. And so on it goes, you see. So if you want the Mixolydian mode, what goes on is you use your cycle of fifths, you go one back, you see. So if you want the A Mixolydian, go one back to the D major scale, fixed. Play the D major scale in the tonality of A. Drummers aren't supposed to know this. They become eminently sackable. To be sure. And what goes on? That ain't no Mixolydian mode I'm playing here. What I'm doing here is a fancy little thing which I want to talk about tonight. That is called, my friends, is the Overtone Scale. Not very well known, it's a little bit obscure. And what it is, you would take a major scale, and what you do is the aforementioned, you flatten the seventh, just like a mixomatosis mode. So, thank your mother for the rabbits. Anyway, you can have your duck. Mark. Sorry. In joke. And what you do with an overtone scale is you sharpen the fourth as well. Now, what happens is most people know a sharp four as the flat five, the diabolus in music, heavy metal and all that, but we're not doing heavy metal. This is the sharp four and a flat seven to the scale. So what happens is what you have, if we're going to do C, it's going to be C, D, E, F sharp, makes it almost like a G major scale with an F sharp in it, G, A, B flat, and then octave. Now when you listen to the early Beatles, There's a lot of mixolydian in there, and it's almost formulaic, because what starts to happen is if you start putting in, say, a twist beat, and then go through some of the early tunes, what will happen is you'll hear the B flat in there. And one of the other things that the Beatles did was actually make good use of the augmented chord. And there you go, with the sharpened 5. 1, 3, sharp 5, you see. So this is the harmonic part of the show. On St. Paddy's Day, there it is there. Now what I'm going to do now, carry on with a bit of the old Irish dancing business, but not before I sort of bring something up here. One of the things that is wonderful about Celtic music is the fact is that more than most, you can do it with anything, don't get me wrong, but one of the things that is wonderful is the use of when they're using scales, or when we're using scales like this. That is just a normal orchestral harp. How about the Celtic harp? I think I like that one. And what goes on is Celtic music is famous for their laments. Now, when you go to write a sad song, what usually goes on is, like major happy, minor sad. But there's a kind of, when you're dealing with these kinds of modes, mixolydian, and now this one, the overtone scale, you're dealing with changing notes like a flat 7. Gives you a little bit of a different tonality. And what happens, this gives it a bit of duality, because you can take a happy little and make a jig out of it. Sounds, all happy, and away we go with a couple of pints of editing cordial Guinness. But if you slow it right down, you can make what's known as a lament. And what a lament is a sad song, but it has a basis. Because it is a song based on leaving your homeland, never to return. hope you enjoyed it. If the word enjoy is the right word for it, makes you think a little bit when you start putting things together. That's one of the things that I love doing is when you talk about a lament, it is really amongst the saddest of songs. And with Celtic music, you can take something that's happy and turn it on its head through its tempo. You can change it from a jig to a slow slip jig, if you will, or a reel, and then you put the harmony to it. And I often find, in terms of modes, is that you might have a major scale, and then as you add flats, like a flat 7 to the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you add the flattened 7, that makes it mixolydian, so you can take it a couple of ways. When you add a second flat, that's a Dorian mode, so it's kind of wistful. Our natural minor has 3 flats. And then you have the Phrygian mode, which is so popular in flamenco music. And that's quite passionate, right? That's 4 flats. And then you've got the Locrian mode with 5 flats, and all you have to do is listen to Blackened with Metallica. And that's based on the Locrian mode, you see. Very diminished in what it is. Now here I am sitting behind a big-ass drum set in Doris. And here I am talking bloody harmony. God help us all. I'm going to carry on a little bit with the dancing business. Solo Irish dance includes the most well-known form of Irish dance, the Irish step dance, which was popularised from 1994 onwards by shows such as Riverdance, and which is practised competitively across not only the Irish diaspora, hello diaspora and the whole diaspora family, but to many more people who have disparate cultural backgrounds. Step dance is characterised by the rigid upper body and intricate footwork of its performance. Other forms of solo Irish dance, including Sean Nose dance, I think I've pronounced it properly, I hope, a relaxed and social dance style involved improvised steps and festival Irish dance and style, which separated from step dance in the mid-20th century. There you have a lot of the step dance business. There you go. More stamps than an Irish musical. I could talk about this stuff all night. To drums, I haven't done too much. I mean, I did a lot on harmony there and the dance and stuff, but one of the things you want to try and get into a little bit is being able to carry all this off by connecting the themes, you see. So we're talking about, tonight I'm being specific with mixolydian and overtone scale. There's a little bit of a difference. But don't forget, of course there's songs in major scale and minor scale and everything else, but it gives, the mixolydian mode gives it that kind of a Celtic edge, you know, that kind of business. And the overtone scale is a real anomaly. And then you got the timbre, and the timbre at the moment is the Celtic Hammett Dulcimer. I've basically used 2 things tonight: is the Celtic Harp and the Dulcimer there. I've often used the orchestral harp, which I might finish off with, but what I haven't finished yet. Something there based on a kind of a step dance, kind of a feel there, if you think of it like that. One of the things I like to do again is the hemiola, and one of the things that you can sort of do with this, if you are playing just the Irish 4 on the floor, really did. Sorry. But if I'm doing a double paradiddle, there you go. Anyway, I will start wrapping the show up now. So I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. There you go. And there it is. Let me go over everything. Did the Irish dancing, sitting down. Jigs, reels, slip jigs. I talked about laments. I've talked about the 7 Celtic nations. Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Cornwall, Isle of Man, Brittany in France, and Galicia in northwestern Spain. From the Celtics. The Celts, I should say, the Celtic tribes. And I talked harmony. I talked about the Mixolydian mode, and which gives you a bit of an Irish tint, and something a little bit different, the Overtone Scale. And the easiest way to think of the Overtone Scale is a major scale, but you sharpen the 4th as you would with a Lydian mode, and then you flatten the 7th like a Mixolydian mode, you see. And that's what goes on there. Now, because I mentioned Lydian, I'm going to finish off with it. And what that is it's essentially with the sharp 4. You see, so if you're doing a C Lydian mode, it will have the F sharp in it, you see. So there you go. And what that really is, what is it? It's going back to all the way back to the start of the show, a G major scale. But this one's in F. A. And I'd like to dedicate this to you know who. Last couple of weeks. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed that last little bit. I don't mean for it to be somber, but it's what music can do. It can give you the world. It's a wonder. Okay. Mwah! And have a great day, okay? Have a great day with everything we're going to. Just take it on board and just have fun. Learn how to dance, you know, the step dance and everything kind of business. There's a bit of a dark history to that. It is said that the reason that the Irish dancing is very stiff and so on is because when Ireland went through all its dramas through the centuries, people didn't like the old Irish dancing, so they impressed their puritanical views onto the people. And and it was an act of defiance. That's what it is. And there you have it. So you just keep on with music. I love yous all. Hey! Hey, I'm out of here!
Are you gonna move to
Leave.
Ireland?
Where
are you gonna move?
Get away, leprechaun.
Are you gonna move to Ireland? Because I'm the leprechaun.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. It's you must go and I must die.